we know preseason polls are not going to be accurate. We know they're just guessing. We know there's going to be teams that are up high in the preseason polls that will finish out of the poll. We know there are teams that are not even in the preseason polls that will finish up high in the poll at the end of the season. But let's just pretend for a second that the coaches predicted the future entirely accurately, and that this is what the final CFP ranking looks like. Boy, howdy, would this be an interesting playoff? And this would be, the cut line moves here, because remember, the coach's highest ranked ACC team is Florida State. So their number 10 team would be the number 3 seed in the playoffs. Remember, they've got Georgia number 1. So Georgia would be the number 1 seed in the playoff. Ohio State number 2. They'd be the Big Ten champ. They'd be the 2 seed. But their number 3 is Oregon. The number 4 is Texas. 5 Alabama. 6 Ole Miss. Okay, so we're still in the SEC and the Big Ten. 7 Notre Dame. 8 Michigan. Notre Dame's not in a conference. They can't do it. 9 Penn State. Big Ten. Nope. Okay, so 10 Florida State. ACC. There's your ACC champ. There is your 3 seed, because the top 4 seeds have to be conference champions. So there's your 3 seed and a bye. Now your 4 seed, not ranked in the top 12. Their highest ranked Big 12 team is Utah. Now, I disagree with this. I think there's going to be a Big 12 team in the top 10 by the end of the season. But if this happens, where either the ACC or the Big 12 champ is outside the top 12, it just means somebody else in the top 12 is getting left out of the playoff. So in this case, Utah is the 4 seed despite being number 13. Number 11, Missouri, and number 12, LSU are left out of the playoff. You have to go into their others receiving votes section to find their highest ranked group of 5 team. That's Memphis. So Memphis would be your 12 seed. So we've talked a lot about how good the 5 spot is in this case. The Oregon Ducks, the beneficiary of this, they would host Memphis at Autzen Stadium. The winner of that game would play Utah in the Fiesta Bowl. That's a pretty good path. That is not a bad path. But let's look at the other games. Penn State at Texas with the winner playing Florida State in the Peach Bowl. Michigan and Alabama with the winner playing Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Notre Dame and Ole Miss with the winner playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. I'm with Ozzy in the chat on this. Penn State visiting Austin. Michigan going to Bryant-Denny. How can anyone be against this? Like, if we just got those 2 games alone, that would be enough. That would be so tremendous. Just imagine Michigan and Alabama with Ohio State waiting on the other side in the Rose Bowl. Why the Rose Bowl, you're asking? Okay, here's why. And this is the same reason why Georgia would play the winner of Notre Dame Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. For the next 2 seasons, not necessarily beyond that. We don't know beyond that. But for the next 2 seasons, the old bowl affiliations with the conferences still apply, because we're still actually working off the first CFP contract. They've expanded the playoff, but they didn't really change the other terms of the contract. So the SEC champ goes to the Sugar Bowl. The Big Ten champ goes to the Rose Bowl. The ACC champ would go to the Orange Bowl if it weren't a semi, but it's a semi this year. So the ACC champ would just go to the bowl that could take it, or the one that works geographically with everybody. And then the Big 12 champ at this point would go to the Fiesta Bowl, because that would be the one left in this case. So that's how that works. Again, in the 2026 season, it may be completely different. The truth. Michigan versus Alabama with last year's Rose Bowl, with the way the last year's Rose Bowl ended, storylines upon storylines. Darn right. Darn right. With Seth McLaughlin, the center from Alabama, waiting with Ohio State on the other side of this game for whoever wins. And then the question in this case, now, if this is accurate, Ohio State would have beaten Michigan in the regular season meeting. So Ryan Day would have that monkey off his back. But let me throw this at you. Let me throw this at you. What if you had a scenario where Ohio State beats Michigan in the regular season, wins the Big Ten, is the number 2 or the number 1 seed in the playoff? And in this particular case, let's say Michigan goes to Tuscaloosa and beats Alabama, then goes to Pasadena and beats Ohio State to move on to the semifinals. Can you imagine the meltdown? That would be so much worse than Ohio State just losing to Michigan in the regular season this year. So much worse. Goat Dog, I love college football hypotheticals. That's all we got right now, Goat Dog. We're in pure hypothetical season. Pure hypothetical season. But we're very close. We are very close. We got the coaches poll today. We will get the AP poll here, I believe, in a little over a week. Florida State and Georgia Tech currently practicing, waiting to go to Dublin to give us that little taste, that little hit right before it all begins. We have NFL preseason games that are going to just invade our televisions on Thursday. We're almost there, everybody. We are so close, we can taste it. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.